Welcome back, family, resilient ones, to the Iowa podcast, the space where breath meets belonging. I am your host, Dr. Malika, and I am super excited to have you back here today for this episode. And today we're going to move with the water. So let's talk about it. Water has always been the element of memory and emotion. It teaches us that grief doesn't disappear, but it does change form. It moves through us in waves. Today's episode is aptly titled The Water, Grief, Ritual, and Flow. So, today, as we're gathered, I invite you to tap into your memory and creative and visual center. We are going to imagine the gentle embrace of water, how it cradles us, how it supports us, and how it reminds us even of our own fluidity. Water is a witness. It's a witness to our stories. It's a keeper of the secrets, the things that are whispered in those quiet moments. It also holds the power to cleanse and renew. So it's offering us a mirror that reflects back to us our innermost selves. In this sacred space, we are going to explore how water guides us through the ebbs and flows of grief, how it teaches us resilience, and how it also teaches us an important concept of acceptance. So, together, we're going to uncover the rituals that allow us to honor our emotions. It's going to transform them into healing currents. We'll talk about what it means to surrender and to let the emotions move instead of hardening and fighting against it. And we'll also talk about how rituals help us channel the movement that is happening into meaning. So before we take our first break, I want us to take a quick breathing exercise in. We're going to do an inhale for 4, hold for 2, 1 and 2, exhale for 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So let's enter the water together. We'll be back in just a second to talk about the wisdom of water. Welcome back, family, and let's get deeper into talking about water. Let's talk about its wisdom. If we talk about fire and we talked about how it transforms by burning things, water transforms by softening things. The way it does it is it whispers to us through the gentle lapping of the waves and the steady rhythm of the rain. And the one thing about water is that it's patient, it's persistent, and it's consistent. So that teaches us that change doesn't have to be abrupt or violent. It is reminding us that transformation can be a gradual unfolding that occurs over time. It's also a gentle reshaping of our inner landscapes. So think about the water, how it carves canyons, how our emotions, when we acknowledge them, are also like that. It carves out spaces within us for growth and understanding. Tears, which are a form of water, are like the rain. They cleanse us, they nourish us, and they allow for new things and new life to emerge. So our emotions work the same way that water does. When we allow ourselves to feel, we're basically creating channels for the healing to actually flow from us. When we're embracing our emotions, this is an act of courage. It's a recognition of our own humanity, and it is also a step towards healing. But often, as we journey through life, we find ourselves fighting against certain emotional responses and certain things that we are carrying because of the weight of what it is. So I want you to remember to flow with the current. One of the things that you know as a swimmer, if you're ever swimming outside of a pool, which is a very controlled body of water, and you're swimming in natural spaces like the ocean or lakes, is that you always want to swim with the current. You flow with the current because that is the way that's going to propel you in the direction that you're going. And when you go against the current, it could be life threatening. It could take you out of here. You could possibly drown. And so when we flow with the current, what we're saying is that we trust in the process by letting go, and that by letting go, we know eventually we will return to who we are. Many of us were taught that we have to dam up the river, right? We have to close it down. We have to stay strong, that we have to keep those tears private, that we don't share that in public spaces or allow people to know that we have been crying because we feel as if we'll be viewed as being weak. But what we don't understand is that water is its own language, and those tears are a language. They are communicating something that is important. It's your body's way of saying to you that you have felt something that is sacred. When we look at African cosmology, water is the bridge between worlds. In Yoruba culture, they have a concept called the mother of the oceans. And the way she is looked at is her waters are womb and river. It's the beginning and it's the return. So it's how we get here, and it's also how we return to ourselves. In spiritual traditions, those of us who are religious or practice a particular faith that looks at deity and spirit, we use water to cleanse and purify things. What we have to understand is honoring water is honoring motion, it's honoring release, it's honoring return. So I ask you, as we close out this segment, where have you in your life been fighting instead of flowing? And I really want you to sit with that. We will be back in just a second, and we will talk about the current of ritual. Welcome back, family. And we are going to go into this next segment where we're talking about ritual as a current. So, a ritual is a way that we give shape to things. It's a way that we have a practice that's structured. And ritual is the way that we give shape to the water in our life. It's how we keep from drowning in our own emotions. Across our cultures, ritual has always been a form of container. When we wash our hands before prayer, when we pour out libation, when we cleanse our bodies before ritual or before birth, all of these different acts are basically saying life continues in motion. When I was younger, I often watched some of the different cultural things that happened from the elders in my spiritual environment, in my faith environment. And one of the things that was always important was immersion into water, and how that was a form of cleansing us and purifying and renewing us from a spiritual standpoint. When I saw those different things, I often didn't understand it until I had my own experience with the water. And when I had my own experience with the water, even as a young child, I understood the significance. I understood the life being in motion after that experience. So, what we have to look at is the fact that when we have ritual, we have custom, if we lose that rhythm, the things that we are grieving, the grief that is present, the things that we are pushing through and trying to navigate will stagnate. And when it stagnates, it's going to sit on us in a way that sometimes can be overwhelming and overbearing. But when you have ritual, even the simplest of things, it allows you to get the current moving. And you will need to determine what that looks like for you. It could simply be that you work out and that you go to a space to exercise, and going to that space allows you to de-stress. It allows you to focus and center and put yourself in a better place, not just physically, but also emotionally. It could be the fact that you light a candle, and lighting a candle gives you this scent and this memory from an olfactory standpoint of the person that is no longer here with you. It could be simply when you wash your face and you're getting ready for the day as you're preparing for your work day or whatever that you do during the week, that as you're doing that, you remind yourself consistently that you are still here. I don't want you to be mistaken. Ritual will not erase the pain or get rid of what you are processing emotionally. It's not a quick fix, it's not a magic wand. But what it does do is it teaches our heart to be able to swim through the sludge that is there because of the grief and the pain that we are carrying. So I want us to take a second and I want us to come back and talk about when our grief turns into flow. Stay tuned and we will be back in just a second. Hey, resilient ones, I want to personally invite you to join me in person for something that's really special to me. It's The Circle and it's an Aya Wellness event. It is happening Saturday, November the 8th at the Body Bar in Inglewood, California, which happens to be my hometown. And it's going to be a beautiful afternoon of connection, conversation, and collective healing. We'll breathe together, we'll reflect together, and most importantly, we'll root together. We'll use guided Aya practices, journaling, small group dialogue, inspired by my book, Rooted in Resilience, A Journey Towards Collective Healing. And yes, many have been asking, how do I get in and what does the experience look like? There are tickets for every level of experience. General admission starts at $25. The book bundle will include your signed copy of Rooted in Resilience, that's $45. And the VIP experience is special because it comes with exclusive affirmation cards, guided meditation, reserved seating, and you will have an hour of personal time with me along with the other VIP clients. And we also have a level of community sponsors that is $100, which makes it possible for others to join who might not be able to otherwise. So if you've been listening to the Aya Way and thinking, I want to be in the room where this kind of healing happens, this is your moment. I want you to head on out quickly. Don't wait. Don't procrastinate. I need you to head to bit.ly/The Circle 2025 to save your seat. Come as you are, but leave more rooted, more connected, and more you. I can't wait to spend this time with you in November. Have a great rest of your day. Welcome back, family. And we are going to talk about when grief becomes flow. One thing about water is it never asks permission to move. It just does what it does. It moves. Grief is just like that. You'll have moments when you think you're fine, and then a song or a smell or a photograph will open up the floodgates. And I think about this from a personal perspective. I have moments when I'm okay, and then something happens. I hear something or I smell something, or in one occasion, I drove past a place that my dad, that my dad loved to eat at. And just simply seeing that place and driving past it brought back the grief as if it were fresh and had just happened. And I want you to know that maybe that's actually okay. Maybe the fact that grief is not asking to be controlled and we should stop trying to control it. What it's really asking is to be witnessed. In therapy and in practice, we often talk about emotional regulation. When we talk about it from a spiritual concept, we talk about it being alignment. Both of these are saying the same things. We have to learn to move with what's real, what we're actually experiencing, instead of resisting what is there. When we resist the emotions, when we resist the grief that we are experiencing, what we're actually doing is we're flowing against the current. So think of the ocean tide. I live on the West Coast, and when the ocean tide comes in, it also goes back out. And the one thing I say about the ocean is no one gets upset about the fact that that's what the ocean does. No one scolds the waves for returning back to where they came from. So when you feel that wave of grief coming up in you, that wave of emotion coming up in you, I challenge you not to fight it. What you should be doing is breathing. Breathe through it. Name what it is, put language to it, and then let it pass through naturally. Because every time you are allowing yourself to feel, you're creating a space for something new. You're creating a space for compassion. You're creating a space for joy. And we talked about this in the last episode. You create a space for clarity. So water is basically teaching us that movement is not weakness. It's teaching us that there's a wisdom that we have in the movement. We're going to take another quick break. And when we come back, we are going to do our Aya pause for this episode. We will be back in just a second. We are back. If you can, I want you to close your eyes. I want you to picture yourself standing by a calm shoreline. The water that is around you is clear and it's reflecting the morning light. I want you to take a deep breath in through your nose. I want you to hold it. And I want you to exhale gently. Now imagine yourself kneeling down to touch the water. As your fingers meet the surface, I want you to say silently, I release what no longer serves me. Watch as you see the small ripples in the water carrying your release outward away from you. Now cup your hands, scoop a bit of that imagined water, and bring it towards your heart. And this time, I want you to whisper audibly, may peace return to my body, may flow return to my spirit. And I want you to stay with this rhythm. I want you to inhale and exhale for 3 short breaths. And when you're ready, I now want you to open your eyes. That water is still moving, and I want you to remind yourself that so are you. Sit here in this space, in this moment, and we will come back and we will talk about community as the river. Welcome back to the show, and we are going to talk about community as river. So the one thing you know is that I'm big on stress community because it is a huge part of wellness, how we heal, and what we do across the diaspora. So we talk about rivers. We understand that rivers don't exist in isolation. Streams join other streams, and those currents merge, and they merge to become oceans. And we have to see that when it comes to our healing. Our healing works in the same way. We pour into each other, we refill one another's cups. And when we do this as a community, when we grieve together, it becomes a river that carries us all forward. Think about church kitchens after a funeral. Although people are gathered in that space, they're mourning the loss of someone that was dear to them. There can still be moments of laughter between the tears. You will smell the food, and the food will be a reminder. The sounds around you will be reminders of the fact that you are not alone. That's the water wisdom. The water's wisdom is basically that grief and joy can actually flow side by side. They don't have to be mutually exclusive, and it doesn't mean that when one is present, the other cannot also be in the room. If you've been holding everything on your own, if you have been trying to do this by yourself, if you feel as if you are a bother or you are a burden to those who care about you in community. This is your reminder that you were never meant to do this by yourself. You were never meant to carry these burdens on your own. You were meant and created to connect to others in order for you to be able to move forward. I want to encourage you now to find your river if you don't have it. Let someone be there to pour into you for a while. And when we do that, we create a space of collective healing, because collective healing is how we allow these droughts from an emotional standpoint to end. I want you to sit with this for just a second. We're going to take another quick break, and we're going to come back with our closing reflections and call to action. We will be back in just a second. Welcome back. As we close out today, I want you to take another slow breath, and I want you to feel the water in your own body. Feel it in your blood, your tears, your heartbeat. I also want you to understand that you are mostly water, which means that you were created to move, to flow, and to begin again. Know that grief is going to visit, but it does not have to drown you. You are learning through this practice and through this journey that we are going on together to float. So I want you to carry this affirmation with you into the week. I want you to say, I move like water. I'm gentle, steady, and strong. My emotions are sacred messengers. I am not broken. I am becoming clear. So my call to action, as always, if you're not already listening to the episodes on the different places that you can find them, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, as well as YouTube. And I want you to join the conversation, join the community. So head over to Substack, and you can find us at theiaway.substack.com. And again, if you have not purchased the manual, the book that we use that talks about the different concepts in this podcast and the things that we will be talking about in community on Substack and the other social spaces, please go to my website, MalikaMBrown.com/store/P/rooted in resilience. And this is where you will get the guide, the manual that we use in order for us to heal as a collective. As always, thank you for joining me for another episode. May you keep moving, may you keep softening, and may you keep returning home to yourself.